Hey everybody, let's talk about this story. A car repo man drags a vehicle owner during a repossession. This gets really strange. And I did tell you that we're going to see a lot of strange repossession stories coming out. And here is definitely one example. Oh, and after this, we're going to talk about the automobile loan delinquency rates and some other, what I think is pretty shocking news as far as the economy goes and the overall spending power of the average U.S. consumer. But first, get into this here. And this is news 3 out of Lakeland, Tennessee. Repo man accused of dragging victim and crashing car. That's what kind of repo man does this? A repo man faces several charges after Shelby County Sheriff's Office says he dragged a man who tried to stop him from taking his car and sideswiped another vehicle outside of the Super 8 motel in Lakeland, Tennessee. So this man was staying at a hotel, lived at the hotel, who knows, but that's where they found his vehicle. Now, repo people, they do have your address because they get it from the bank that you're not paying the automobile loans on time to. And this is very strange though. How did they find him at the motel? So this started off even very fishy. Repo driver Anthony Bent was charged with reckless endangerment after leaving the scene of an accident involving an injury and driving with a suspended license. So the repo man had a suspended license. What kind of people are they hiring? Whatever bank, gave this car loan out. That's some really shady stuff there. Deputies said that Brent, the tow truck driver, driver's license had been revoked due to multiple convictions. The victim said he heard a noise outside of his Super 8 motel room and he went out and confronted the tow truck driver. He asked the driver, "Where is the paperwork if this is a repo?" Apparently this guy had no uniform on. And he says as he was telling that, another car came up and pulled right in front of his car, and a female got out hollering, "Yes, it's a repo." And he said, "Where are the papers?" She said she's going to call the police. The car owner said, "Fine, call the police." So he didn't even believe that this was an actual repo person. And there was a struggle. The victim said he struggled with the tow truck driver. Bent placed the vehicle in drive, pinning him and partially dragging him against another vehicle. He suffered minor injuries to his shoulders and his hip. The car owner said, quote, "I was in between the door of the driver's side of my car. So when he drove off, he slammed the car into another car. So I was caught in between the door. So he collided with the car and dragged me a little bit." And here's where it gets even weirder. Deputies said the tow truck driver, Bent, used a screwdriver to enter the vehicle and did not let Shelby County Sheriff's Office know ahead of time he was doing the repossession. Investigators said the Ford Fusion was leased from, get this, No Worries Automotive Group, and JR Towing was hired to repossess the vehicle. So this guy was behind on his lease payments. The car owner said, quote, when he talked to the owner of No Worries Automotive, they told him he was 2 weeks behind. 2 weeks behind? I thought I thought lease payments were due once a month. What's the problem with being 2 weeks behind? This story is getting stranger as we get into it. When asked if he knew Bent had a revoked license, the man said Bent was not one of his employees. He said Bent was a subcontractor and he didn't know his license had been revoked. So this is kind of alarming. So repossession companies are hiring subcontractors that they don't fully vet, or they don't check their driver's license status. How crazy is that? So it probably goes something like this. "Oh, you want to take the job for minimum wage? Okay, we've got a job for you. Don't worry, we won't check your driver's license status. We won't even check your background. You could be a convicted felon. Who cares? Because you're going to work for minimum wage." Bent, the tow truck driver, was released from jail on $5,000 bond and is scheduled to go before a judge on Wednesday. All right, so obviously a lot of repossessions are happening right now. We're seeing more and more strange, crazy, and weird stories. We even talked a couple weeks ago about how there was a shooting. Delinquent auto loans in the U.S. are higher now than the Great Recession. Auto loan delinquencies reached record highs in 2023, with the increase primarily coming from the subprime tier. So people out there still saying nothing's happening. There's no signs of a recession. You know, what am I talking about? Well, here you go. Record highs. That was the first quarter, and we're not even done with the second quarter yet. Actually, in less than 2 weeks, we're going to be done with the second quarter. At the end of June, we're going to be done with the second quarter, and we're going to get the stats probably sometime around mid to late July. And guess what? I'm expecting the all-time high delinquencies to get even worse for the second quarter. What's your guess? Please let me know what you think down in comments. Let's see here. The auto loan delinquencies in the first quarter exceeded the watermark set in 2009 and 2010, with more than 1.69% of auto loans 60 days past due. That doesn't seem like very much. According to the S&P, that topped 1.46% during the Great Recession. Wow, so the Great Recession, only 1.4% of automobile loans went delinquent. All right, folks, so let's talk about this next. This should be very concerning. This is a sign of the U.S. consumer, or the strength of the U.S. consumer, in my opinion. So you're out in front of the store, it's around the holidays, and somebody's there holding a bell. Ding, 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 ding. Donate to, what is it, Salvation Army. Drop some coins in the bucket. And you feel bad if you don't donate, and they're ringing the bell, and they're nice, and they smile. U.S. charitable giving falls in 2022 for only the fourth time in 40 years. Yet, there's nothing wrong. Everybody's rich. Everybody has a ton of money. Why are people no longer giving? Do they no longer trust the charities? Or are people just too broke? The cost of living's too high? Or maybe a little bit of both. Let's get into this news here. Charitable giving fell 3.4%. And charitable giving has only fallen 3 other times in 40 years. The first was 1987, followed by, of course, 2008 and 2009, consecutive years of declining charitable giving. That was the Great Recession. And there it is, the bell ringer. The bell ringer. Don't you feel bad walking by the bell ringer and not dropping something in the bucket? But I also feel kind of weird donating when there's multi-billionaires out there that have so much extra money that they don't know what to do with. They'll never be able to spend all this money. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, the list goes on, Warren Buffett. Why aren't these people giving up more of their wealth so that we don't have to have somebody ringing a bell out in front of the store? Just my thoughts. But why are we asking these people that are shopping at these stores for change when 7 out of 10 people are carrying credit card debt, right? So most of the people that are asking for donations are people that are in debt. Now, of course, if you ask any billionaire, they're going to say, oh, I give to charity, I give to tons to charity, I gave $7 million, blah, blah, blah. They're going to always say that. Of course, they're always going to say that. Otherwise, they would look like greedy monsters, right? All right, folks, a little bit of a more laid-back episode today. So what do we do? How do we prepare for this? Inflation, deflation. I mean, you would think with all these late automobile loans that we'd start seeing some deflation in the price of vehicles. But as we talked about a few reports ago, they're just giving out bigger and bigger loans. Even with the banking crisis, even with the so-called credit crunch, the too big to fail banks are taking over and taking a bigger share of all the lending. And because they're too big to fail, they can give out bigger loans without worries about people being late, because they're going to be bailed out no matter what, right? So with that type of system in place, you know, it seems like deflation will never happen. It seems like falling prices, falling cost of living will never happen. But I still am stacking some cash because I think deflation is still possible, because we could see some failures, even more failures, and a big shakeup in banking, and even a bigger scare could even have the too big to fail banks pulling back on the lending. That's just me. Or is it what I said before that? The too big to fail banks are guaranteed life support, so they're always going to be giving out loans. Therefore, we're not going to see any deflation or any falling prices in cars, homes, etc. If that's the case, it's only going to be rising prices from here, or sticky prices, maybe not going down, but maybe not going up much higher either. That's also not good, because people can't survive in that type of environment for that long. So what do? Do we stack precious metals? Are you stacking silver like me? Or is there something else that I don't know about? Please let me know down in the comments. Thanks everybody for being here. We're going to wrap it up. Big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.